Welcome! Thank you for viewing this video to learn more about how to submit your final accounting report in Front Office, our online grant application system. Final reporting must be completed and submitted through the online portal Gate Front Office within 18 months of the EFT payment date, unless an extension of the reporting date has been approved. Organizations are encouraged to submit their final reporting and financial accounting as soon as the project has been completed. So please follow along to learn how to successfully use Gate Front Office to submit your final reporting on time. This presentation will focus exclusively on CFEP Small Final Reporting and how to submit reporting in Gate Front Office. This video is approximately 30 minutes. Please jot down any questions that may come to mind as you view the video and then call or email Community Grants with those questions to get the answers you need. To contact a Community Grants Public Information Officer directly, you can email communitygrants@gov.ab.ca or call 1-800-642-3855. This information will again be posted on the last slide. During this video, we will cover the following topics: how to navigate the Front Office dashboard and find your final accounting report, how to complete your final report, attach supporting documents, save and return to your report, and submit your final report. Lastly, provide information on the new reporting requirement for CFEP Small Program Evaluation. So let us get started. To walk you through the process, please open the Gate Front Office webpage. Once you arrive at the Front Office login screen, you will need to select Login and enter your login credentials. Once you have logged in, you will arrive at the home screen. My Work should already be selected, but in case it is not, select My Work from the navigation bar on the left side of your screen. Now scroll down to the Recent Submissions section and select the final report that needs to be completed. If you are a registrant for more than one organization, another way you can find your final report for a project is by selecting Applicants from the navigation bar located on the left of your screen. Next, you will come to this page. Under Applications and Notifications, you will see a list of any applications or final reports that you have not yet completed or submitted. To begin final reporting, click on the name of the project you want to complete grant reporting for. Also note the Submit Final Report step indicated here. Next, we'll go over some key tips to help you complete your grant reporting successfully. If you have any questions about the reporting requirements or your specific project, please jot those down and reach out to our staff directly. The tabs in the left-hand menu have all the pages you will need to complete. As you fill out your financial accounting report, please keep the following in mind. Save your progress. Any questions with an asterisk next to it means it is a mandatory field. You will not be able to submit your application if it is left incomplete. Front Office is a dynamic system and responds to each user based on how you answer your questions. As you complete each page, there may be additional fields that appear depending on how certain questions are answered. These additional questions help collect necessary information needed to assess the report appropriately. Now that we have these tips, let's get started on the Reference Submissions page. The Reference Submissions page will give you easy access to the application that was submitted for this project. Click the icon under the View column to be redirected to your previous submission. On this page, you will also find the final report due date and the approved funding amount. Once you've reviewed this information, click Next to move to the next page. Note you can access this page anytime during the life of the grant to verify the eligible budget and approved amount. Next is the third-party project page. Before continuing to the budget section of the report, you must indicate whether the project you are reporting on was a third-party project. You may select yes or no from the drop-down. For any questions related to the third-party projects, please review the CFEP Small Guidelines or contact our staff directly. Please carefully read the information on this page, and once you've made a selection, click Save and Next to move to the next page. Next is the Project Expenses page, where we will begin filling out the financial accounting report for your project. Please follow along as we take you through each component. At the top of the page is where you will find the Eligible Anticipated Expenses table, which will be pre-populated for you with the approved and eligible expenses. Note, you can access this page anytime during the life of the grant to verify the eligible budget and the approved expenditure line items. The Paid Expenditures section is where you will provide a breakdown of all payments made using the grant funds and matching funds. Please carefully read the Tips section and make note of the application submission date, as any paid expenditures incurred prior to the application submission date are ineligible. You can also explain any discrepancies between the eligible anticipated expenses and the actual paid expenditures. At the bottom of the page is where you will list all paid expenditures. Click the plus sign to add a payment. This will bring you to a pop-up where you will need to enter the payment details, such as payment date. You must provide the date for each transaction or paid expenditure, detailed item description and payee. You must detail who you paid and what they paid for. How are they recognized on the approved budget? Payment or banking information. For each transaction, you must provide the payment information. This can either be a check number, e-transfer reference number, last four digits of the corporate credit card used, or the bank name and account number from which the payment was made. If payments were made from a personal credit card, we require the reimbursement check number or bank name and bank account number. Total paid. GST may be included for the transaction. For example, on May 26, ABC Limited was paid $300 from check number 0000 for website design development. Please note that this function is used for paid expenses and on pages where you will record any donations or volunteer hours contributed towards the project. Once all the information has been entered, press Save, and you can select Save and Back to List to take you back to the previous page, or Save and add another to enter payment details for an additional paid expenditure. Once all paid expenditures have been entered, you should see them listed here. The page will automatically calculate the total A value by adding up each amount in the total paid column. If this looks inaccurate, please carefully review your entries. In the Actions column, you will see a garbage can icon, which you can select to delete a line item, and a magnifying glass icon, which you can select if you need to revise a line item. Once you have completed the page, click Save and Next to save your progress and move on to the next page. Next is the Donated Labor page. Only use if you donated labor on your project. If you have no donated labor to report and this does not apply to you, move on to the next page. If you do have donated labor, in the Eligible Donated Labor section, you will find the Eligible Donated Labor table. This table is pre-populated with the list of the approved donated labor that can be used as an eligible matching source. Please carefully read the information in this section. You will provide a breakdown of all donated labor. If there are any discrepancies between the eligible donated labor expenses and the reported donated labor, please provide an explanation here. In the box below, you can explain any discrepancies between the eligible donated labor expenses and the actual reported donated labor expenditures. At the bottom of the page is where you will list actual donated hours. Make a selection to confirm whether required documentation will be uploaded, then click the plus sign to add lines detailing the project's donated labor expenditure, which we will discuss next. Please note you will need to submit the volunteer sign-in sheet that should contain the date, nature description of the work, number of volunteers, total hours worked, and total value. As mentioned earlier, this function is also used for pages where you will record any donated equipment, materials, and professional services that were contributed towards the project. The plus sign will bring you to this pop-up where you must enter the donated labor details such as the date, nature of the work completed, number of volunteers, total hours worked, and the rate per hour. Note, once all the information above has been entered, the value of work will be calculated automatically. You will not be able to edit the value of work. If the value of work is not adding to what you are reporting on, we recommend reviewing that the total hours worked and the rate per hour are entered correctly, as the system calculates value of work based on those two amounts. For instance, if you had 100 volunteers that worked a total of 230 hours at the rate of $20 per hour, the value of work would be $4,600, as 230 hours times $20 per hour equals $4,600. Once all the information has been entered, click Save and you can select Save and Back to List to take you back to the previous page, or Save and add another to enter payment details for another transaction. Once all donated labor has been entered, you should see them listed here. The page will automatically calculate the total B value by adding up each amount in the value of work column. If this looks inaccurate, please carefully review your entries. Once you've completed the page, click Save and Next to save your progress and move on to the next page. Repeat these steps for donated equipment and donated material and services as needed to get your total C and D values. Please note that supporting documentation for donated equipment, materials, and services is mandatory. For all these donations, organizations must provide a signed letter from the donor on official company letterhead clearly outlining the donated equipment, material, or service at fair market value, the date of the donation, and your organization's name, or an invoice from the donor outlining what was donated, date of the donation, donated in-kind value at fair market value, and your organization's name. For additional information, please review the CFEP Small Guidelines or contact Community Grants directly. Next is the Reporting Summary page where you will find the Project Revenues table. This table includes two columns. The first is the Eligible Amounts column, which is defined as the eligible sources of funding budgeted to cover the estimated total project costs. The eligible amounts are based on what was approved in your application. The second column is the Actual Amount column, which is defined as the actual sources of funding used to cover the actual total project cost. Please ensure all funding sources for your project are accurate, and if you need to edit any of the values, you can do so here. To change the values of the actual donated labor or actual donated equipment, materials, and/or services, use the left-hand menu to navigate to the Financial Accounting Report section to make your edits. Once you have completed the sections below, scroll to the bottom of the page and click the Save button. This will automatically calculate the total. Please note that the actual project revenues total must be equal to or exceed the actual total project cost. You will need to explain the sources of other funding used as well as any discrepancies between the approved eligible budget and the expenses that are included in the paid or donated expenses. In the Project Cost Summary section, you will find the Total Project Cost table. The total project cost is calculated by all the entries made for project expenses, donated labor, donated equipment, and donated materials and services. You can also leave a comment if you have any additional notes regarding your project costs. This table includes two columns. The first is the approved amount column, which is defined as the approved budgeted eligible total project costs. The second is the actual amount column, which is defined as the actual total project costs reported in the financial accounting report sections. Use the left-hand menu to access the details for each of the total project cost components. Once you have completed the sections below, scroll to the bottom of the page and click the Save button. This will automatically calculate the total. Next is the Project Impacts page. Answer all the questions in the Project Outcomes, Project Impacts, and Program Feedback sections, then click Save and Next to save your progress and move on to the next page. Next is the Government Recognition and Conflict of Interest page. Complete this page and click Save and Next. Moving on to the Certification page. Please read and make a selection to give permission to use photographs, videos, or quotations. In the Certification section of the page, you will be prompted to download a copy of the agreement form that you can sign. If you are an authorized representative of the organization, you may complete the embedded certification by clicking the checkbox indicated on the slide on your screen. If you are not, please download and complete the certification document located at the top of the left-hand side menu and have an authorized representative certify the information in the final report is accurate. Once complete, upload the signed certification to the File Attachment section, then click the checkbox on the certification page. You will need to upload mandatory and supporting documents in order to be able to submit the report. During these next few slides, we will show you how to upload and name those documents. This is the File Attachments page. This is where you will attach the required documents to complete the final report. You'll see a table like the one on this slide listing all the documents that could be uploaded. The required column indicates these documents are not mandatory. However, some may be mandatory depending on your project. Please refer to the CFEP Small Guidelines for more information on mandatory supporting documents or contact our office. To begin uploading the attachments, simply click on the name of the corresponding document. For example, to upload the signed certification document, simply click on the name and you will be redirected to this page. Please be mindful that Front Office will accept many document formats, including Word, Excel documents, and PDFs. Please do not send a picture of the completed forms as Front Office does not accept JPEG files. Type in the name of the document you are uploaded in the document description box. Please note that you must put a name in the document description box. It will not let you go back or save without it. Then click on Choose File and you will be able to navigate to wherever you have saved the forms on your computer. Then double-click on the document to select the file for upload. Once the file has been uploaded, click on the Save and Back to List button and you will be redirected back to the File Attachments list. Then continue down the list until all required documents to complete your final reporting have been uploaded. If you would like to add any additional supporting documents, such as an explanation document on financials, additional information regarding a program or project, or other information that you would like to include, please use the 7 to 13 attachments. Next, we will show you how you can save and return back to a final report. If you need to exit the final report before you are ready to submit, you can scroll down and click Save to save your progress. Then use the left-hand side menu to navigate back to the home screen by selecting My Work, or navigate back to the applicant page by selecting your organization's name. When you are ready to return to Front Office to complete the final report, log in and click on the My Work page. From there, under Recent Submissions, you can then click on the report that needs completing. Now that your final report is complete, we will show you how to submit your grant final reporting. The final step of your final report is the submission summary page. This page summarizes all the previous pages you have completed. To be able to submit your application, you will need to see check marks in the complete column for all the mandatory pages. You will also see this indicated in the application menu, identified with green check marks. If any of these pages have an X in the complete column or the main menu, this indicates something was missed on that page that needs to be addressed before you can submit. Now, before you submit, you can save a copy of your complete final report to keep for your records. Just click on the Export to PDF located in the upper right corner, and a PDF version of your final report will be available to download. When you have check marks by all the mandatory documents and you're ready to submit, click on Submit in the top right corner. After submitting your final report, return to the My Work homepage, and under the Recent Submissions section, you will see that your report status has changed to Complete in green. This part of the presentation will go over the new reporting requirement for CFEP Small Program Outcomes. Community grants introduced new reporting requirement a few years ago with the focus on program evaluation as a whole, rather than evaluation of individual grant projects' achievements. The reason for this focus is that there's a growing need in the government to better understand how well our programs are doing, how well they serve the nonprofit and voluntary sector, as well as the whole community, and how to improve the programs. For that purpose, we have to collect data on the effectiveness of the programs, and a program is only as successful as its participants. Therefore, while grant recipients are asked to provide additional data on their project achievement, this data will be used only for the purposes of assessing the program's effectiveness, not your individual organization's effectiveness. Next, let us look at what exactly we are asking you to report in addition to what grant recipients have already been reporting so far. To assess the program, we have to look at how well it works for you. First, we will be using information collected as part of your application and final accountability report. Second, we will administer a separate evaluation survey at the end of the grant term. You will be asked two types of information: factual data and opinion. Examples of factual data are number of activities in the facility, number of facility users, or square meters of green space. Examples of opinion questions are: how important was the grant in achieving your project outcomes? How accessible was information about the grant on the website? To evaluate certain numerical indicators, we need to compare data from before the project was started and after the project was completed. In other words, we require a baseline. The evaluation survey will include questions about pre-project performance. Therefore, it is important that you have this information available at the time of reporting. To help you prepare, you will receive a follow-up email with a copy of the evaluation survey. Please review the questions, and if you are not currently collecting certain data, make sure you track it during the project. This will make reporting at the end of the grant term easier and less time-consuming. The copy of the survey will have a watermark for information only, meaning you do not need to complete it now. It is provided solely to familiarize you with the type of information you will be asked to provide at the end of the grant term. Questions will be grouped according to the following themes: relevance of the CFEP Small Program to your organization, the extent to which the program outcomes were achieved. On the application, you are asked to check off program outcomes that you intended to work towards. At the end of the grant term, you will be asked to identify these outcomes again and indicate the extent to which the respective area has improved. Effectiveness of program's processes. We would like to know how you perceive the way the program is delivered. Preliminary impact of the project. We refer to it as preliminary impact because many benefits and changes from the project take time to develop and may not be fully visible by the end of the grant term. Efficiency of the program's resource utilization. Resources include money and time. Sustainability of the facilities, meaning your opinion about sustainability of the facility enhancement. Moreover, we intend to follow up with a very short survey 6 to 12 months after the grant is over, asking you about sustainability of your facility. We would really appreciate your responsiveness. Feedback on positives and negatives of the program delivery. Now, briefly about the additional data that will be collected. The evaluation survey is mandatory. Those organizations that fail to submit the survey will not be eligible to obtain further funding from community grants until the requirement has been met. At the same time, the survey is anonymous. You may wonder how to reconcile these two aspects, mandatory and anonymous. On the online survey platform that we are using called Opinio, the list of respondents who completed the survey and the actual data are on separate pages. So we will know who submitted it and who did not without knowing the details of each individual submission. As mentioned earlier, you must also submit the final report. The major difference between this evaluation survey and the final report is that the final report allows the program staff to assess your compliance with the program's terms and conditions as laid out in the program guidelines and your agreement. In contrast, information that you will provide on the evaluation survey about your outcomes will not be used to evaluate your organization, but rather to assess the success of the program. Basically, you are contributing to the assessment of our work. The survey results will be reported in an aggregated form. An example of reporting is, as a result of the grant, 65% of organizations increased the public use facility space by 40% on average. In conclusion, I would like to emphasize that the information that you will provide is going to be very valuable in assessing the program. Your feedback will help address areas for improvement in the program and make it more relevant to nonprofit sector and the communities served. The second point, the information you provide on the survey will not be used to judge your organization, rather to judge ourselves and the program. Your responses will not affect your chances to apply for any government grant in the future, so long as you complete the survey, and your opinions will not be held against you because of the simple fact that we will not know who said what. Thank you, and that concludes our webinar on how to submit your final accounting report in Front Office. If you have any questions about Front Office or our programs, you can call Community Grants at 1-800-642-3855, or you can email communitygrants@gov.ab.ca.